very good evening to each and every one of you joining me, Miss Belinda and
Mr. Michael Adams.
How the heck are you?
Hello. You bumped into me then. Hello.
I'm so excited. It's so good.
There's so much going on.
So we've got a lot going on. We must just say, though, that I have got to tell you that we've got a new podcast starting on the 1st of November. I'm reading it off notes. New podcast. It's going to have loads and loads of extra exclusiveness to it.
And not only that, if you head over to our website, yourmcr.com, you can find our brand new newsletter,
Yes.
which has an exclusive competition.
Exclusive competition, and yet even more exclusive content. A little bit behind the scenes stuff on there.
Oh,
as
yes,
well.
we love that, don't we?
Well, you might. I don't like being caught out when I'm not being professional, everybody. And also, if you're not already, make sure you are following us on all our relevant social medias. The podcast will be going out on Spotify, it'll be going out on Amazon Music, it goes out on iTunes, it goes out on iTunes.
I like that.
It goes out everywhere.
Basically, you can find the details on our social media, and if you're not following us already, you can do at yourmcr on X and on Instagram.
And we are, of course, the only online magazine show, everybody, which features all the best things that are going on in and around Manchester. And at this point, I think I'll just change this logo and make it a different show.
Oh,
there we go.
Good idea.
Does that make it a different show?
It's completely changed
I
it.
thought so too,
Same
yeah.
faces, same studio, different name.
Totally different, isn't it? And we've also, I must also say, on today's
Oh, get rid of that.
I've got rid of that now. That's gone. I'm doing that. This is me free and easy now. No autocue or nothing.
Oh, no.
This is me free and easy. Tonight's show is absolutely amazing. Who are you speaking to?
Yi Wang to talk about the Queer East Festival 2023. Who have you got in?
I will be speaking to our charitable partner for 2023 going into 2024. That is the Natalie Kate Moss Trust. They're amazing.
They're fantastic.
They're doing so much to help and prevent brain hemorrhages. And they're working very, very closely with the Manchester University as well.
They are indeed. So more on that later in the programme. Plus, our Mark's been on another walk, hasn't he?
Indeed, and we've got new presenter, Izzy Bushell, who's going to be telling us why Manchester is quite simply the best city. At this point, you need to go over yonder.
And you need to go over yonder. I'm off
let's
to
do
go
that.
and speak to Yi Wang.
Yes, this is exactly how your show's looking.
All about Queer East Festival 2023, which is coming to Manchester very soon, is Yi Wang. Hello to you, Yi.
Hi.
So, what can you tell us about Queer East? How long has it been going? How long have you been involved?
Yeah, so Queer East is a festival that showcases queer cinema and live art and moving image works from East and Southeast Asian and its diaspora community. The festival was founded in 2020, which was definitely the best year for starting a new festival. And
it was an unusual year, wasn't it?
Yes, and so I've been with the festival since its beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, of course, this is something that, like you say, it's happened before, but it's now going on a nationwide tour. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's very exciting because I think one of the main mission of Queer East is bringing more queer storytelling about East and Southeast Asian communities to a wider audience. So I don't want it to just limit it in London, everything just happen in London. So I think it's hugely important that we have this chance to bring the films to cities across the country and share it with more audiences.
And in each area, there's something quite unique about what you guys are doing. I know in Manchester, you've got special shows. Of course, it's on at home, but you've got special shows that are specifically just for Manchester. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah. So there's a special short film programs that consists of 6 short films made by emerging film directors. And that is, that was a sold-out screening back in London in April, and then we just think like it's a great chance to bring that to Manchester, and because I think there are such a huge young queer communities in Manchester, and then now these days, like young people are really into like short films, so I think it's a perfect space to share that programs with audiences in Manchester.
How can people get their hands on tickets and when can they see it?
Yeah, so we will be in Manchester from 2nd of November to 4th of November. So 3 days with 3 events. And at home, we will have 2 feature films. One is from South Korea, called P-Fault. It's about transgender walking dancer, which is a super fun, super powerful films about trans positivity and also queer joy. That will be on 2nd of November, and then on 4th of November, there will be a classic Taiwanese film made in 1992, Rebels of a Neon God, by super famous director Tsai Ming-liang. And this film is a very rare chance to see this film, because before our festival show this film back in April, the film hasn't been shown in the UK publicly for over 16 years. So it is quite a rare chance to have a chance to see this film on the big screen. And just go to the website at home, and then you will find a ticket link, and same as our show film programs are ESEA Contemporary. Just head to their website and then you will find us.
Sounds good to me, my friend. Best of luck with it all and enjoy your little run in Manchester.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, doesn't that look good?
Doesn't that look absolutely phenomenal?
And coming to home very soon.
Spooky season.
It is indeed. Ooh.
Oh, now, if there's one person that is the
scares the living bit.
That is the absolute antithesis of spookiness.
It's Mark Llewellin. Keep an eye out for somebody who may feature at the end of his report.
Well, we're going to start this week's spooky walk in Salford. And here we are in Bexley Square. And I'm leaning on this wonderful horse statue. It isn't just a horse. The mane is actually made up of lots of books and historic fragments reflecting Salford's past. We've got a dog, which is one of the dogs featured in Harold Riley, the famous Salford painter's paintings. We've got all kinds of topical references. Behind me, what was Salford Town Hall, used for filming in Coronation Street many times. It's where Les Battersby was sent to prison. It is where Deirdre appeared and said she didn't do it. And it's also where Johnny Briggs, who played Mike Baldwin, actually appeared in real life for speeding. Now, in 1931, there was a great demonstration here. Over 10,000 people demonstrated about unemployment, and they were put down. The riot was put down by the police. Very violent scene here in Bexley Square. It's also doubled as Gretna Green. In Corrie, when Leanne and Nick ran away to get married in Gretna Green, this is where they got married. So quite an interesting square. Underneath the church is a crypt full of lead-lined coffins. And during the Second World War, they used the crypt as an air raid shelter. So you never know who you might bump into.
Oh, hi, Mark.
The hospital behind me, now apartments, operated from the 1840s right through until the 1990s. And if you were working in the factories and mills in this area, the chances are you were going to suffer an injury at some point in your life. So this is where you would come to be treated. In 1941, it received a direct hit by a bomb from German fighters, and 14 nurses were killed. We finish our walk here at Islington Mill, now home to over 100 creative businesses. It was opened in 1823 for industrialist Nathan Goff, who used it as a cotton mill. But it certainly wasn't the place you would want to work. Dreadful conditions, lots of the staff who worked in there were injured over the years, and he used child labour because children were much more adept at climbing in amongst the weaving machinery without having to turn it off to carry out repairs. He also made those children work up to 69 hours a week. But only a few years after it opened, disaster struck. Not long before it opened, several floors in the mill collapsed. and 18 people lost their lives, the youngest of whom was just 10. If only these walls could tell their stories.
Now, there's a new face on the Your Manchester team, and it's over soon to our Izzy Bushell to find out, why is Manchester just so great? Over to you, Izzy.
Welcome to Manchester. So over 2 million people live here in this wonderful city, and it's actually the third most popular place to live in England. But what makes the city so great? Well, today I'm going to show you some things that you might not know that the city has to offer. Let's start with the city's music scene, which has grown massively in Manchester over the years and has caused tourism to skyrocket. UK Music said performances from Sir Elton John, Stormzy and Dua Lipa boosted music tourism in the city by 696 million. I went to find out from the people of Manchester about what the city's music means to them and how it has impacted their lives living here.
It's just so diverse. I volunteered for Sounds from the Other City and I volunteered for Manchester Jazz Festival, and it was really lovely to see all those different kinds of music.
Yeah, I'd say music's impacted by living here quite a lot. It means a lot of creativity. There's a lot of young and aspiring artists in Manchester alone. There's quite a few of my favourite artists that came from Manchester.
Basically what I spend most of my time in Manchester for is all the concerts, things like that.
It's always been intrinsically linked with the city. Obviously you've got the famous bands, the Smiths, Oasis, etc. A lot of our sort of identity is linked around that. I think it's always been very, very ingrained in what Manchester is.
So let's move on to the art of the city. Manchester was named at number 5 in the top 10 street art capitals in the UK and is a leader on the UK's street art scene. I spoke to one of the city's well-known street artists, Kelso, also known as Tony, about why street art plays such a huge part in the city's art scene.
Street art is a big movement in Manchester today because of all the creativity and the vibe and the history of Manchester being a great city. I think that it's really complementary that we do have high quality street artists in the city. I think it's really important, even though we've got quite a number of street artists, all producing their own style of work, again different styles, and it's just a great addition to a really cool city.
So Manchester has so much more history than you might think and is home to some of the UK's most historic buildings, including the Central Library, which was built in the 1930s and is the second biggest library in the UK. In the year 2019 to 2020, it was recorded as the official busiest public library in Britain with more than 2 million visits. So I went to have a little explore to find out what the library has to offer. Oh, it looks so posh. This library is huge. We've got a whole section dedicated to music. Let's see what's around here. This is the ideal place for people learning music, so it has so many of these, like song sheets, and like loads of music lesson books, and even a piano. So that's like the music bit done, but I want to go into some other rooms and see what else there is. What's in here? Okay, so we've got this like big study room. Some more historic stuff here. We go up to the next floor in the glass lift. I'm actually a bit scared. I've not been in a glass lift for ages. Oh my god, it's moving up, it's moving up, it's moving up! In the business and IP centre. Oh, got all these like vintage magazines. And this big like meeting area. I think that's everything up here, so I'm gonna head downstairs and see if there's anything we've missed. Let's explore the fun part, the cafe and shop. Oh, look at all this cute Manchester stuff they have. Tempted to get one of these teddies. I can't come here and not try the coffee. Got myself an Americano. Let's get out of here. So there we have it, with the city's music, art, history and so much more. There are so many things that make Manchester the iconic city that it is, and why so many people want to be a part of it.
And joining us now from the Natalie Kate Moss Trust is, of course, Fiona Moss. Welcome to the show, Fiona.
Hello, how are you?
How's it all going for your wonderful charity?
Yeah, really well. We've seen sort of amazing growth over the last year. We've really put a focus on, and I know we've spoken to you guys before around our prevention campaign, and a lot of people are sitting up and listening to that, which is great to see. And we're getting a lot more engagement as well from companies and individuals as well. And we've got World Stroke Day coming up this Sunday. So we're putting a lot of emphasis on that and raising even more awareness and more funds as well for the vital research at Manchester University.
Because that relates very much to your cause, doesn't it, really? And perhaps tell us, first of all, why you felt it was so important to set up this cause and this charity.
Yeah, so we set up the Natalie Kate Moss Trust in memory of my sister, Natalie. She had a brain hemorrhage or a hemorrhagic stroke when she was just 26. Completely out of the blue, came out of nowhere. So we really wanted to do something to remember her and make sure that this didn't happen in vain. So we approached Manchester University to see if there's anything that we could do, that we can support. And over the years, we've been supporting their research into better treatment after somebody has a brain hemorrhage, because unfortunately, only 3 out of 5 people will survive within 1 month of having a brain hemorrhage. And actually, 3 million people a year die from having a brain hemorrhage. So it's a really, really big problem. And those stats that I just told you haven't actually changed in 40 years. So this is why the research in Manchester is so, so incredibly important. But also, as I mentioned before, the work that we're doing around prevention as well. If we can stop them from happening in the first place, that's half the battle too. So we're doing a lot of work in terms of encouraging people to be checking their blood pressure, because we know that high blood pressure is the leading cause of lifestyle-related brain hemorrhages. And to not just guess that your blood pressure is normal, but to actually check it and then to take steps to manage it as well, either through lifestyle. But if it is a problem and you are worried about it, please make sure that you go and see your GP, because as we know, unfortunately, all too well as a family, when a brain hemorrhage happens, there's not really a huge amount you can do. You can't, just change your diet or anything like that. It's a line in the sand. There's before and there's an after.
Now we've got, as you mentioned, National Stroke Day coming up on Sunday. How does that tie in within your charity?
Yeah, so a brain hemorrhage is a hemorrhagic stroke. So often we hear of strokes and we don't associate it to being a brain hemorrhage. But essentially what a hemorrhagic stroke is, it's a bleed in the brain. The other types of stroke that you probably hear of more commonly are an ischemic stroke, which essentially is a blockage of blood flow to the brain. And that's the difference. But it's just another subtype of stroke ultimately. So we're trying to bring more awareness to obviously the prevalence of brain hemorrhages. I gave you those stats before, the amount of people that die every single year. And actually more information then around how can we prevent them? How can we create more awareness? And crucially, how can we actually generate more funds to support this really groundbreaking and actually life-saving research that's happening at Manchester University?
And just before we let you go today, Fiona, there's going to be so many charities asking for a donation. Why do you feel it's so important that people donate specifically to the Natalie Kate Moss Trust?
I think you're right. And I think the charity space is an immensely interesting one, and everyone has their own passion and their own purpose as to why they should donate to certain charities. I think for us, it's just so incredibly important because it does impact a huge number of people. And the more we speak to people, the more people we realize how many people it does impact as well. And I think this is the problem. You've mentioned it before, we're already seeing, or we have seen significant advancements in so many other areas that get more focus, more airtime. And this is an area that really doesn't, but actually affects just, if not more people. And so this is why we really need to club together to actually make some steps in this area, because as I said before, there is no second chance. And unfortunately, when a brain hemorrhage happens, it is literally a line in the sand and there is a before and an after. And we need to change that. And we need to reduce the number of the frequency of brain hemorrhages happening, but make sure they're not as deadly when they do happen.
And once again, to say to everybody that is watching today, this could happen to you or anybody that you know. It's not just necessarily perhaps people that are a little bit overweight like myself. It could happen to your favourite gym buddy. It could happen to the person that does millions of kilometres a year walking. It could literally happen to anybody. So get behind the Natalie Kate Moss Trust, everybody. The link's here and you can find out more, of course, on our website. For now, though, Fiona, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Here I am, my love, here I am. What's your show, eh?
I know, it's been busy, hasn't it?
Nice and busy, but some very important points there.
Definitely so. Now,
what's going on?
You remember what we said at the beginning of the programme. Our new podcast launches very soon. And the best way to reach that is to look on our social media. So why not drop us a follow at Your MCR on X and on Instagram.
Or you can go to our website, www.yourmcr.com. Go on there, because I promise you there's going to be some quite sensational features. And of course, you're a business out there as well, and you fancy having a little advert with us, or an advertorial as we like to call them. Get in touch, get on where we are.
It's like we're on the X Factor then.
It is
bro.
Yes. In the meantime, though, thanks to each and everybody for watching today's episode of
Your Manchester.